Okay, this is a look at, we're going to change some spark plugs. It's super simple to do on this car. Super simple, which I'm happy about. I take the lid off, which are, there's two little nuts on here. There is another one down here. And then the lid presses into here to hold in place. Take that off, take the cap off, lid comes right up. Spark plugs are in the back. 1, 2, 3. Only 3. It's 3-cylinder. This just lifts off of these posts. Disconnect the clips for the coil packs. And then 1, 2, 3 rusted bolts. They're always rusted. Be careful when you pull them out because everything's aluminum. The crazy part about this is that there's 3 styles of spark plugs. You can't just go buy any off the shelf because you need to know which type you need. And you can't tell until you either get the spark plugs out themselves or you look under here stamped on the engine block. So I'll show you that as soon as we get it out. The reason I'm changing this is because I noticed something in the second cylinder when I was just looking around. You can see this one doesn't look all that bad, and then come over here and there's a lot of soot, there's a lot of dirt, oil, something. This one's not bad at all down there either. So I was gonna take the second one out and see what was different from the other two. And when I do that, you're gonna see something crazy. Okay, I got all 3 spark plugs out. Get yourself a spark plug socket if you don't have one. They make it 1,000 times easier. There's a magnet inside there to pull it up. And what you see, look at that second cylinder. Look at that. You want to know why I did that? Look at the difference. That's because the spark plug wasn't torqued down. So somehow it actually came loose. And like I think the torque spec is like 23 foot-pounds, Newton meters, something like that. I'll have to check and put it on screen. But like these number 1 and number 3 were not easy to remove. They required a little bit of force to unseat themselves. The second one I could just twist by hand. It was not seated anymore. And as a result, you can see the difference in the 3 coil packs. There was either oil blowing up around the seal, around the spark plug itself, up into the pack, into the cylinder, the chamber there. Or it's just soot that made its way up, fumes and whatnot from the explosion. But I like the pink. I don't like the one in the middle. But it's probably been doing it for quite some time. It's caked down there. Some of it will rub off. I'll try and clean it as best as I can because they're expensive if I can even get them. The plugs themselves, same thing. The second one is significantly dirtier than the other ones. You can see side by side. And that's just because it was blowing right up around the locking nut area. I think they're about 9 years old. Maybe. It's not, I don't know how many miles are on the car that I put on it in 9 years. 20,000 maybe. I hadn't, through COVID and stuff, I hadn't driven it. I didn't think about it. They don't look terrible, but I'm going to replace them anyway because I'm doing the CVT transmission fluid. I'm going to do the oil. It's just time to change it. So I'm going to clean this up. Throw in new spark plugs. I mentioned you can only get a certain type of spark plug. So if we go back under here, it's going to be really hard to read, but right here is a letter B. And on this cylinder, there's a letter B right there. And on this cylinder, there's a letter B. Trust me, it's hard to see on the camera, but they're there. So when you buy spark plugs for these, you need to make sure you get the right kind. Part number says B at the end. And if you look at the spark plugs themselves, there's actually a letter B on each of the ends. And I think it has to do with the amount of clearance that there is in here, like how deep these fit. I don't know why. I've never seen anything like that. I'm sure it's common in other vehicles, but make sure you get the right ones. Make sure they all say B. Make sure when you buy the new ones, they say B. And torque them down. I don't think, it was my fault. I think it just made its way loose over the years. So that's frustrating, but that would explain. I wasn't losing any power. There was no performance issue. It's just, that's not good. It's just blowing exhaust out the top of the coil. So I'm gonna put these in. I don't think there's much more to say. Just make sure you torque everything down to the spec I'm gonna put on screen. Put the cover back on, and you should be good to go. It's really easy to do. So until next time, see ya.